5 on Your Side at 10 starts now.
Women who served finally recognized.
I don't feel like I should be honored any more than anybody else. I mean, I just did my job.
The fearless females who answered the call and are now taking a long overdue journey of honor. Turning up the heat on tornado relief.
This grill's at least probably 300, 325, constant.
We're looking at several days of extreme temperatures, and the risks are real. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Jackson. A weather impact alert is in effect. Summer is coming in hot. Dangerous heat is building, and it's not letting up anytime soon. Let's begin our coverage with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell.
Kelly, again, we start out with our weather impact alert on the heat. Tomorrow at noon through Tuesday evening, we have an extreme heat warning for the metro St. Louis area, heat advisories elsewhere. You're talking about the afternoon heat index ranging in the outlying areas from around 100 and in the city over 105. So we can't emphasize enough, you've got to hydrate. Drink a lot of water. Stay in that air conditioning or at least some shade. Tomorrow may very well be one of the worst of the days. Tomorrow and probably Sunday is when the humidity likely peaks. We're talking about afternoon heat index values in the core of the urban area running about 108 to 110 degrees. But even in the outlying areas, 101 to 105. It's still brutal on Sunday. It's still bad on Monday. It's still up there on Tuesday. And heat has that cumulative effect on our body. Plus, we don't get a chance to cool off at night. There's a look at your nighttime temperatures. Morning lows tomorrow are in the 70s, close to 80 in town. And if you're heading to the Cardinals game tomorrow, it's a day game in the sun with a heat index 105 to 110. Be prepared. Beverage of choice should be water tomorrow. Kelly?
All right, Scott. Right now, tornado survivors in North St. Louis are preparing for the dangerous temperatures. Some are still without AC and even roofs on their homes. Decina Coronel has this report from North St. Louis.
It's a scorcher. This grill's at least probably 300, 325. Constant.
At Sharon Mathis Grills, the sun also bakes.
So hopefully I can just, find a way to stay as cool as possible.
Trying to keep cool as the dangerous heat smothers the area, no matter how hot it gets. This group on Newstead and Ashland will continue.
Whether it's hot or cold, there's still a hungry soul out there.
It all started with a group of strangers.
We've got plenty of water, ice we can always use.
Larry Gray lives across the street. His damaged home has no AC.
A little bit nervous. I have a generator, that's going, so that helps, a lot.
He's one of many tornado survivors who will face the dangerous digits. To help, St. Louis City has cooling centers. We're told Affinia Healthcare is working on a plan to go to tornado zones for wellness checks. The Red Cross will send crews to hand out information, and the People's Response will deploy teams as well.
A lot of these people lived in these homes 6 generations, 5 generations. They're not going to leave. They just cannot abandon their post because anything, could happen to it.
Food truck owner Mathis knows it's needed.
So we have a young lady who comes by and she picks up about 40 meals, 50 meals, going up and down the streets, making sure that people at least have something hot.
The heat brings a tough fight, but this group knows it can go from stranger to stronger.
The tornado, it brought in some devastation, but at the same time, I think it brought in some unity among the people here in St. Louis.
Justina Cornell, 5 on Your Side.
As for the group on Newstead and Ashland, they're operating from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and you can donate at any time. Water, ice, and tents are greatly appreciated. FEMA's first disaster recovery center opens tomorrow in St. Louis. FEMA and the U.S. Small Business Administration will help storm survivors with their disaster assistance applications, answer questions, and upload required documents. The center is located at Union Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. That's on North Newstead. It's open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it's closed on Sunday. More locations in the city will be announced next week. Tornado relief is also just a click away. The Urban League has set up an Amazon wish list with urgently needed items like toiletries, clothes, and pantry staples. Now, here's how it works. You pick an item and check out like any Amazon order, but instead of coming to your home, it is sent to the Urban League to help families in need. Just text the word Amazon to 314-425-5355 and we'll send you a link. With many people planning to be out this weekend, experts are warning about the potentially deadly risks of prolonged exposure to extreme heat. New tonight, Annie Krall is live downtown after hearing from doctors and athletes about how to survive the heat. Annie?
Kelly, it's still more than 80 degrees here near the Arch, and medical experts are telling me that it's not going to get any easier, which is why you have to keep an eye out for heat illness symptoms such as dizziness or nausea or even your muscles cramping. And if you walked around Forest Park today, you saw a number of people getting in their workouts regardless of the blistering St. Louis sun. A cyclist, a runner, and a golfer all visited Forest Park on Friday.
Terrible. Very humid and very hot.
Quite humid. It's miserable. It's humid. It's very, very hot.
And yet they handled the heat in more similar than different ways.
I got a couple water bottles in the bag, sunscreen, and that's it. Don't be out here too long.
I use loose fitting clothes. I think that's a big thing. Sunscreen.
Lots of water. You know, I'll take breaks every 30 minutes or so. I'll spray some water on my face, on my head.
Heat exhaustion can happen when your body's exposed to extreme temperatures, causing dehydration or excessive sweating. Dr. Charlotte Albinson, medical director at BJC Medical Group, says it's especially tough for seniors to beat the heat.
Seniors are definitely more susceptible to heat illness, mostly because of general medical conditions, but also because sometimes they're on medications that make it more difficult for them to tolerate the heat.
Yet the biggest thing Ryan Pond, who lives in the Skinker to Bolivar neighborhood, was trying to beat was his poor showing around the green during his Thursday golf round, which is why he wanted to practice chipping even when it hit 91 degrees.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the game of golf, and I got off work a little bit early and decided to head out and try to do something outdoors.
Washington University medical imaging PhD student Shrikant Yadav was using the heat to his advantage to train for a triathlon.
I just want to expose my body to all kinds of pressures. So I think running in the humidity effectively trains your metabolism to function, because this is a unique kind of pressure for the human body.
And Karan Vetwani was just hoping to hit his 20 or 30 mile biking goal.
If you have goals, this is the way to get to them.
And whether you're exercising or just spending an extended period of time outside this weekend, you can go and visit a cooling shelter. The best way to do that is call 211 and you'll reach the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. They can tell you where the nearest location is to you. You can also find even more safety tips at KSDK.com. Reporting live in downtown St. Louis, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
And as you said, you can also find tips to beat the heat on KSDK.com, including a full list of cooling centers across the St. Louis area. Just text the word HEAT to 314-425-5355. We'll send you a link. Police are investigating a deadly hit and run in North St. Louis. Investigators say the man was hit while crossing the intersection at West Florissant and Pope around 7:30 last night. He died at a hospital. The driver left the scene. Right now, police do not have a description of the car involved. We have updates on several stories we've been following. Police say a man accused of a deadly shooting inside the Ferguson Home Depot is being held on one count of stealing a firearm. They say Darion Mason was inside the store Wednesday morning when another man punched him. During the struggle, prosecutors say Mason shot the man several times, took his pistol, and left. Security cameras captured the incident. Officers later arrested Mason in Spanish Lake and recovered the victim's gun. Prosecutors say this is still an open investigation. We also have an update on a missing person last seen a week ago, Saturday night, on the Mississippi River. The Orchard Farm Fire Protection District reports tonight they have not been able to locate the man. The exhaustive search involved rescue boats and help from multiple first responders in St. Charles County. They stress if you locate the missing man, call 911. And police have identified a bicyclist hit and killed along Grants Trail. Police say David Crawford was hit by a car while riding his bicycle Thursday on Big Bend Boulevard. He was 85 years old and from Dupo. Police tell us the driver stayed at the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. They've paved the way for generations of women in the military.
We came back from the Vietnam War. We were not really appreciated.
Now these women of valor are getting the recognition they deserve. Honoring St. Louis's legacy while motivating the next generation. A meaningful lap around a historic track.
We'll be limiting our outdoor exercise over the next few afternoons as the dangerous heat builds across the bi-state. When this heat might break, and the one thing you can do to get a head start on beating the triple-digit heat indices.
The Greater St. Louis Honor Flight has flown 110 missions through the years, flying veterans to Washington, D.C. to see memorials built just for them. Each flight is as memorable as the next. The 111th mission was just as meaningful and historic. This flight carried all female veterans, a first for Missouri, and photojournalist Doug Howell and I were there to capture it. Long before sunrise, excitement fills the air at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. One by one, the veterans arrive, bound for our nation's capital. But this honor flight is unlike most. This one is all women. It's a journey that stirs memories of service, sacrifice, and youth.
I was young and I wanted to travel, plus the war was on and I thought I could help. So I didn't have any money, so I joined the Air Force.
82-year-old Beverly Simmerman joined in 1966 as a nurse during the Vietnam War. Nearly 6 decades later, one memory stands out.
I do remember one young man, it's very sad. He was a medic and he was deployed with the Marines. He didn't make it. He was really nice young man. John was his first name.
That sorrow softened just a bit by this trip.
I don't feel like I should be honored any more than anybody else. I mean, I just did my job.
Like so many women of her era who simply answered the call.
I think it's very exciting for all of us, to be able to be honored in this way. I think it's wonderful.
Jean Garvey was the first female air traffic controller in Southeast Asia, a trailblazer in her field. Before takeoff, a ceremonial water cannon salute arcs over the plane as a tribute to their service. Every step of the way, they are honored. Greeted by strangers when they land, cheering just to say thank you. The first stop holds deep significance. Their first group photo, a powerful moment, united in salute. For the women on this honor flight, the Women's Museum is a place where their service is seen, heard, and honored, which necessarily was not the case when they served so many years ago. But here, the stories line the walls, their uniforms, the letters, the artifacts, their legacy. Each veteran recognized with an official certificate of appreciation, a small gesture that carries immense weight. For Air Force veteran Linda Herman, it brings her to tears.
We came back from the Vietnam War. We were not really appreciated, and it's been 50 years in the making for them to appreciate what we did, because we all worked hard for the effort.
As the sun climbs and the day warms, the women gather at the top of the Iwo Jima Memorial for a moving flag presentation. A moment of reverence and reflection. Retired Navy Commander Shirley Walls, who served for 33 years as a nurse.
It was just an absolute honor to receive the flag, but to represent what it shows.
Seeing the Vietnam Veterans Memorial with names etched in granite reminds them of those who never came home. Just steps away, the Women's Memorial speaks directly to their own stories. For Army veteran Diane Turner, it's about inclusion.
It's an experience you won't forget too quick, to be accepted.
Helen Kevrick brings a special chapter of history to this group. The only Korean War veteran on this honor flight, she's also the oldest. At 91, the Marine was one of only 2 women to go through drill instructor school with the men. She wanted to join the Coast Guard like her uncle.
I just wanted to be like him. I joined, so they weren't taking women, though, in the Coast Guard at that time during Korea. So I saw a sign that says, we need a few good men. So I went down and joined the Marines.
Finally, a visit to one of the most sacred sites of all, Arlington National Cemetery. No words are needed for a ritual honoring the unknown, the fallen, the sacrifice that binds them all. And as the 111th Women of Valor flight comes full circle, they return to the sound of applause, a parade of family, military members, and grateful citizens. Honoring women who served without fanfare, without spotlight, to a hero's welcome long overdue. And the Greater St. Louis Honor Flight is always looking for veterans to join an upcoming trip, especially those who served in World War II and Korea. If you are a veteran, want to volunteer, or would like to make a donation to help make these flights possible, visit this story in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Olympic champions are inspiring the next generation of athletes. Figure skater Brian Boitano and track star Jackie Joyner-Kersee hosted Olympic Day at Washington University. They joined kids for a variety of activities and answered their questions. Rennie Knott served as the MC, and one highlight was a walk around Francis Field, a venue from the 1904 Olympics. Washington University hosts Olympic Day every year to celebrate the city's Olympic history. And Boitano stopped by the Centene Community Ice Center later this afternoon. The Olympic champ met with skaters and coaches from several local figure skating clubs. Boitano won the gold medal in men's figure skating at the 1988 Winter Games in Calgary. He's getting fans geared up for the 2026 U.S. Figure Skating Championships that will be held right here in St. Louis in January.
We had a cast of characters who were very diverse and all had interesting stories, and I think that's what it's required to get the popularity back from the American public. It's not just one person, it's just not just one thing, it's a group of people who you like to follow all of their stories, and then they get together in a TV show or a tour, and then you like following all of them.
Boitano will be back in St. Louis for the Figure Skating Championships and in Milan for the Winter Games. And you can see the Olympics right here next year on 5 on your side. Thinking of the Winter Olympics seems so far away with this heat that we're going to be getting.
Brian was right here, in the studios. He's standing literally right here in front of the wall. Earlier this week, and I think it was yesterday, I told him it won't be like this when you come back in January for the figure skating. But boy, the next few days, they are rough for us in St. Louis. We have our extreme heat warning for the metro area, especially right in the core of the urban area. Columbia, Illinois, you're part of that. Belleville, Alton, Edwardsville, St. Charles, St. Peters, even Chesterfield, even down into Arnold. Anywhere where there's a lot of concrete and a lot of buildings, including in the city of St. Louis, that's where it's going to be the worst. And that's where the heat index is likely going to be over 105 degrees for a few afternoons, at least for a little bit. So we got to stay hydrated. We have got to avoid some of that stressful stuff we tend to do on the outdoors. When it gets hot like this, you just got to take it a little easier. And the best thing you can do is literally drink plenty of water. Your body needs that water to be able to sweat, because that's how your body will stay cool. Stay in the air conditioning. If you have it, use it. If you don't have access to air conditioning, find someone that does, or at least go to the library or one of the cooling centers for a couple of hours during the afternoon. Stay out of the sun. Your pets need water and shade. They'd prefer the AC too. Don't leave the kids in the car, and make sure the kids are staying hydrated as well. Again, even in Edwardsville, it's going to get hot, and it's going to stay that way for a few days. The reason being, this massive upper level ridge building in and across the region, spreading all the way to the East Coast, and it never really loosens its grip here as we head from St. Louis east and southeast. So this is going to be prolonged into at least early next week. And for many folks on the East Coast, they're probably going to see some of the hottest temperatures they've seen in quite a while, and it will last into the end of next week. It'll feel like it's between 105 and 110 in most of the metro area tomorrow afternoon. Still triple-digit heat index values for Sunday afternoon, for Monday afternoon, for Tuesday afternoon. We may even extend it further than that. You're back into the mid-90s for highs tomorrow. Unlike today, we will not get a break with any cloud cover. Sunday afternoon, Cardinals, they're taking the field, sunshine. Mid-90s once again. We're staying in that 96, 97 degree range for highs through Monday, and then we'll start to ease it back a little bit. But boy, that's really easing it back a little bit as we head towards the middle and end of next week. Hopefully we will increase our chances for some rain. Extra cloud cover and a little rain chance would certainly help to hold temperatures at least to a pseudo-tolerable level.
I know. All that red.
I know.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Here's Corey with sports.
Well, the Cardinals open their series with the Reds with a dynamite performance on the mound. I catch up with another St. Louis product on the Detroit Lions, and some City SC players had an eventful week off. Sports is up after the break. Well, it's the first day of summer, and it sure feels like it. The Cardinals would love to heat up with the St. Louis weather. They'll get a chance to do that against some NL Central opponents in the next week. The Cubs come to town on Monday, but first, the Reds are here for a 3-game set. There's Ivan Herrera and Thomas Ajayci. The former was put on the IL today. The latter was called up. More on them in just a second. Andre Pallante was on the hill, and he was good. So was his defense. Pedro Paez catches Ellie De La Cruz off first base. Shades of a Yachty pickoff there. Pallante was superb. He induced a ton of ground balls, like usual, but also mixed in a few strikeouts, 4 of them to be exact, and 6 shutout innings for the Cardinals starter. 1-0 Cards in the 7th when the offense arrives. Mason Wynn floats a ball in the center. 2-0 Cards. After a bases-loaded walk to make it 3-0, Ajayci puts one in play, and the Reds help out a little bit. They kick it around for 2 more Cardinals runs. That made it 5-0. Cards got another run on a Lars Nootbaar single. Riley O'Brien shuts the door, and it's a 6-1 Redbird winner to start the homestand.
There's going to be outings that are frustrating because of the ball in play with him, but when you look under the hood, there's some things that are going in the right direction, so you have to allow that to take place and continue to give the opportunity.
Felt like I just get a little bit distracted in my last couple outings when things have been either going really well or really poorly for me. And so today was a good, emphasis, I feel like, on just keeping my mind focused on the next batter.
Back to Ivan Herrera. The club placed him on the IL today with a grade 2 hamstring strain he suffered yesterday in Chicago. Herrera said he was told he'll be out 2 to 6 weeks and that if he tried to play through the injury, it could become an even larger problem. Herrera has been the club's best hitter so far this year, so his loss is a big one, but he's trying to stay positive.
They say, like, if I keep playing with this, I can risk to miss the whole year. It could get worse. So that's why I'd rather just take 2 weeks for vacation. Just kidding, man. I'm just trying to stay positive. So take 2 weeks, and I can keep playing the rest of the year.
I've been on a one-man crusade to convince St. Louis NFL fans without a team to adopt the Detroit Lions. Look at this screen. All 6 of these Lions are St. Louis products. I caught up with the newest St. Louis Lion this past week. Dominic Lovett's journey to the NFL began at East St. Louis, took him to Mizzou, and then eventually the Georgia Bulldogs. Now he joins the Detroit contingent from St. Louis as a 7th-round pick in this spring's draft. The receiver was back in town helping out new teammate and fellow St. Louis and Jamison Williams at his camp on Father's Day. I asked the former East St. Louis Flyer what he hopes to prove in the NFL and what is with all these locals on the Lions.
What I want to prove to people is wherever you put me, I'm going to succeed. Offense, defense, special teams, wherever you need me, that's where I'm going to be. I just want to help the team out, that's it. It's really just like all of us, having the same dream, all of us coming from the same area, playing against each other, competing against each other, and then all of us ending up on the same team. It's St. Louis, baby.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC had the week off before getting back to work today, and they took advantage of that break. Goalkeeper captain Roman Berkey got engaged at Disney during the break, and defender Timo Baumgartel, well, he got married. Now it's back to training in that St. Louis heat. City hosts Orlando on Wednesday to return to action. Coach Critchley knew the break was a needed one for his club, but he also knows they'll be back and ready to keep building in the season's second half.
To get a break and spend some time with family, I think is a good time for us as a team right now. And then it's all about getting back into it next week. And again, growth mindset. These guys are consistently showing up every day, knowing that we can improve and we can develop and get better. So little break right now for 5 days and then right back at it once we get back.
I said this at 5 or 6 earlier today, but if you're going to one of those Cardinal games this weekend, you are a true fan. Good for you.
Oh, die hard. I said that too. All right, coming up, fancy food, cocktails, and live music at the St. Louis Zoo. There's a big bash wrapping up at the St. Louis Zoo. It is Zoofari, the most important fundraiser of the year. People got to sample all kinds of foods and cocktails, and there was live music and an open bar, and the party is still going on. It wraps up at 11. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great evening and have a great weekend, and be safe.